I've always been career driven. I've known what I wanted to do since a child. Like I'm a singer, songwriter, recording artist, and I've had a lot of interesting experiences, and I just wanted to make sense. Like my part, like I can read some things on Google and see the synchronicities, but something's missing. So I just wanted to hear a different perspective.
So Capricorn Midheaven, I'm assuming you've watched like the videos about this place.
I have.
So yeah, I won't go too deep into it, but in general, your foundation is more on the like being in tune with all the emotions of everyone around you, and you know, maybe sticking to loyalty even when it's not good for you. There could be, I think, a word that goes along with this placement can be enmeshment. So there might be some like enmeshment in your past, or maybe that's just something that like feels familiar to you. And then Capricorn Midheaven, you know, showing up as the CEO energy, showing up as like, you know what, I'm going to make a decision that's best for everyone, even though some people might not feel very happy about it. And I'm going to, you know, do the thing that I need to do for myself. But then you've got Neptune there. So I have Neptune in Capricorn on my ascendant. So it's like, it's a really interesting placement because like Capricorn is so long-term vision, good at building things sustainably. And then Neptune is this like, I don't want any boundaries. I'm just imagination and fantasy and like blurring the lines of everything. So when they come together, there becomes this kind of almost this unattainable ideals. I think it feels a little bit unattainable because you have the ability to look ahead and look at like the practical of how something can be done, and you're very long-term focused. But then Neptune is there and it's like, and I want it to be like this, and I want it to be like this. And so there's these ideals that are built that are very, very big, and it can feel like they can either take a long time to actually achieve, or maybe it feels like they can never be achieved, or maybe it feels like things are often disappointing because they don't match up what is in your head, because there's this big like fantasy ideal. So in terms of being next to the midheaven, that has to do with, you know, the contribution that you want to make to the world. That has to do with, it may or may not have to do with your career, but like often it does, because that's what we spend a lot of time on. In this house system, it's in the 9th house for you. So
yeah,
there's spirituality in a couple of layers here, right? Neptune is a very spiritual sign. Neptune's also comes into play on the angles, like the ascendant and the midheaven, for a lot of singers, for a lot of actresses, for a lot of people who are doing entertainment or using some sort of universal language like art or music, right? So that is very, very like, that makes sense to me. And in Capricorn, it makes even more sense that that would be like your career. So that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. That's resonating so far.
Yeah, especially when you said, what did you say about like it feeling like unattainable?
Yeah.
Because I do have these huge dreams, and sometimes it's scary to think about because it's like it feels like above me.
Right. Yeah, because
you know?
you're accessing this like cloud of imagination that exists, like all of the possibilities.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Where is this missing piece? Like, how is it actually manifesting? Is it like, what colors do I use on social media? Or is it like, what general branding do I do? Or what job offer do I accept? Or like, what approach I take? Like those kinds of things.
So it's funny because I've actually been diving into like branding videos of even down to the font. And it was interesting reading into that. So I'd actually like help with branding with colors and stuff. I kind of went the neutral route, like, okay, just neutral colors, because my people say that my music is very relatable. So that reminded me of like The Girl Next Door. And The Girl Next Door is very earthy. Yeah. And, you know, with touches of like a red or orange for passion, because I love speaking about love and my lyrics are very deep. Okay. But as far as decisions in general for my career, a couple months ago, I let go of a team that I was working with for 2 years because I was making music nonstop, and they didn't see my vision. So they weren't dropping anything. They weren't I wasn't able to release any music. So I felt like I was in jail. And it's like, I couldn't be me. Like,
Yeah.
it's like I was too emotional, or I wasn't thinking logically, or the music industry won't like this or that. And it's just like, why are you guys so limiting? Like, I just
Mhm.
cannot. But I feel like the enmeshment thing you were talking about, like, I knew them for so long and I felt like I needed to be loyal to them. So
Yeah.
that's why I stuck around. But then I just let go of them, and they were calling my phone and trying to make things work. But my gut is not aligned with them. Like, I feel like if I continued working with them, things wouldn't progress. And I just went ahead and separated myself from them, released the project March 26th, and it's doing pretty good. I got a new manager out of nowhere.
Wow.
Like, all of a sudden, it's like this team is building, and I'm like, is this because I let go of that? Because what is going on? I'm still confused.
No, I feel like that process is exactly a perfect example of moving from a Cancer IC to a Capricorn midheaven, because it's like, okay, like the feelings here, they can't matter anymore because this is not getting me to my vision, right? So I think that is like, that does sound like that's what's happening, is you let go of that, and so now there's space for this new thing. I think that was a really good call. In general,
Wow.
in terms of branding, and like, I like to take the midheaven as kind of this overarching lens, and this overarching kind of filter for everything that you do. And then as long as you are kind of meeting the requirements of that filter and that lens, after that, it doesn't really matter what you do too much. But in general, so if this is the window that your audience is looking at you from, and anyone who is involved in like your career, this is the window they're looking through. You have to show up behind that window in order for them to be able to see you, right? And that's why it's so important to get out of the IC and move towards the Capricorn midheaven, right? So the window that they're looking through is Capricorn and a little bit Aquarius flavored, right? If we're using this house system. And then also we've got Neptune there. So they're looking through this window and they're seeing, okay, I'm expecting to see this like CEO boss babe vibe, but they're also expecting to kind of be inspired. And so this energy here is what you can go back to again and again when you're trying to decide, okay, what are the colors? What's the pose? What's the, like, what kind of vibe am I going for here? People are expecting from you to be given a broader vision of what life could look like or what the world could look like. And with Neptune Neptune is associated with films and photography, and just because of like the ability to create different realities, right? To create something that don't hide them because you feel like, oh, this is not realistic. Do the unrealistic. They're expecting a dazzling show here. Like, it's okay to dazzle them. So when you're looking at branding colors, when you're looking at making those kinds of decisions, ask yourself, okay, what are the colors that I associate with fantasy, with imagination? What do I associate with like big dreams? What does that feel like for me? Where is the overlap between this spiritual, all-encompassing energy and this very practical, like, yeah, I have big dreams, but also I am actually capable of accomplishing them. Like, what is that? I hate to like use the stereotypical word like boss babe or CEO, right? Like, but I feel like that's the best way to encompass it. And so it's like that plus the spirituality, meshing those two things together and creating this world and this kind of entertainment, not even so much entertainment as like, oh my gosh, my senses are overwhelmed right now. Like, I feel like Neptune is less entertainment and more dazzle. And dazzling in the sense that, like, when you hear a song and it gives you chills, and like, or you go to a concert and everything that you're experiencing is like so overwhelming, like that is the experience that Neptune gives, right? So you can think about, okay, how am I putting together colors and sounds and words and images so that people are having this like overwhelming and inspiring experience in a sense with their senses is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Does that give you any like thoughts for moving forward?
Absolutely. I don't even see a color. I see the way that I maybe post, like the way that I edit, because I like the grain filters. I like it to feel like timeless. Like, when did she film this? Like I wanted to give that vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, does
totally.
that correlate with like because lately I've been more spiritually open on social media. I've been studying astrology for so long, but I've never spoken about it.
Mhm.
Lately I have, and it's been received well. Do you think that has a part of it? Like people actually are like listening to me. I don't think I'm delusional.
Yeah,
Because I know
no,
I'm not delusional, but
totally. And yes, Pisces is astrology is a language that helps people make sense of something that doesn't really make sense. Like there's no words for the human experience in that way in like our regular language every day, at least not in English. Um, and so astrology is certainly something that can be associated with Pisces and Neptune, just from the sense that it's like it's meant to give words to this collective experience, right? And then Aquarius too is associated with astrology, I believe. And so your 10th house being in Aquarius, like you can draw from this. This is still your professional life. And then this is, where your midheaven is. So it's your legacy, right? So you could look at, Pisces and Aquarius in your 10th house. That being said, your South Node is there. So like you probably don't need to focus too much on this. Like this is probably going to just happen because this is the comfort zone on a soul level. But Aquarius ruling your 10th house is certainly something you can take from. And I think one of the main parts of Aquarius that will show up for you is that it's innovative, right? So you're doing something different. You're inventing something. And it's from a big picture. So there's the things that kind of tie all of these three together is that they're very big picture. They're looking at the world. They're looking at everything on a really broad spectrum. So you can tie all of those things together. And then, I mean, your South Node in Pisces and Jupiter in Pisces, like spirituality is a really, really important part of who you are.
yes.
And then, yeah, with Neptune by your midheaven, like that's part of your legacy. So absolutely, I think especially if people are responding well to it, you can definitely embrace that. And also with Neptune by your midheaven, like don't be afraid to confuse people a little bit. It's okay to like do something that doesn't really make sense because the effect that it'll have is that they'll be like, wait, what? And then they want to go look more.
Can you give an example just so I can like see the picture?
An example of like how that would play
Doing
out.
something that'll like confuse people, but just so I can see like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, part of it would be just, oh, suddenly you're talking about astrology and you were talking about something else yesterday. Like, or you have a sudden thought about how astrology connects to a song and then you like do a post that's like edited interestingly and you talk about it. And maybe people came to you for the music and then they see you talking about astrology and they didn't necessarily think that that's what they were coming for, but then they're like, wait, what? This is so interesting. And they want to go deeper. And, you give them that kind of dazzling sensory experience that draws them into it. And then that allows them to then look at all of this web that you've created.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That gives confirmation as well. Because sometimes I do feel like I don't stay on the topic, if that makes sense. Like I remember somebody that I used to work with, he was a kind of like a manager. He would tell me like, you're posting all of this and you're barely posting your music. And it's like, but I would get so many streams. Like I get streams.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's clearly not an issue, but it's like they would want me to talk about music nonstop. No, I want to talk about spirituality 1 minute, this the next. And sometimes I'm not to this day. Sorry, I'm stuttering. To this day, I think about that. Like, am I being confusing? Am I all over the place? So you kind of confirm that for me.
Yeah, awesome. Neptune has this double-edged reality of you can dazzle people and you can give people what they want and delight them. But it also means that people can project onto you for better or for worse, right? And so on the one hand, they're going to be jumping to conclusions and being like, oh yeah, no, I totally like this is really interesting and I love hearing about the astrology. That could end up being negative and they could end up being like, when there's the potential for people to project onto you, there's the potential for them to demonize you really quickly as well. So just be aware of that. Yeah. But with Neptune in Capricorn, it's not that you're talking about all these different things. Like they all still connect for you, right? In the long term. And I think it's okay to follow that, and to, especially if it's something that you're doing naturally and it gets like good results, building that over the long term will be more valuable than trying to like just plug music like all the time, when that doesn't feel authentic. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I had a question about the IC in the third house, because normally the IC would be in the fourth house and that's family. The third house though.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like it makes more sense for me because I'm not really that family oriented. I grew up around friends in my neighborhood and I'm
Oh.
separating myself from them now. So it's like that would make more sense. But can you dive deeper into that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that when the IC is in the third house, it just shows that like your roots were really planted more in your neighborhood and in like the mental world maybe that you were building, and in maybe with your siblings, maybe with your friends, maybe just that community around you. Whereas in the fourth house, it's like, okay, no, the family was like the root and where you were getting your nutrients from it, like if your roots are planted there, right? So yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. If you already feel like that, do you feel like you got your upbringing and were influenced by that community and maybe your siblings and your friends more so than parents or your immediate family?
Absolutely, especially as like for it to oppose my career house because they were the ones that told me you should post more videos when I was like 12 years old. They were like, post more videos, you need to do this. I didn't see it for myself, but I just kept going because everyone in my neighborhood was like, yo, she's nice, she's gonna make it one day. And I'm just like, all right, let me try this because of them. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, I did it because I just loved it, but people saw the picture before I did. So yeah, my
Yeah,
neighborhood and my friends and stuff.
that's really cool. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then your fourth house is in Leo, so that might tell you something about your family. And then your north node is in the fourth house, but it's in Virgo, so that's interesting. And I wonder if, like, maybe as you get older, revisiting family and foundation will become more of a thing for you, and like maybe even building it yourself, because Virgo is very about like creating your own way of doing things, right? Um, so
The
yeah.
fourth I grew up I said I grew up. I believe that my north node was in the fifth house for so long. The fourth house.
Oh yeah. Well, so yeah, in the equal house system, it's in the fourth house, but it is in the sign that rules the fifth house, right? So,
Okay.
you take whatever resonates the most with you, and if this makes more sense, that could be interesting. But yeah, like and I wonder if maybe people looking at you and seeing, oh yeah, you're gonna make it. That's your south node in the 10th house, right? Like
Mm,
you having that professional life, that's just second nature to you, and that's why it flows so easily. And it's in Pisces, you have that trust of the universe. North node in Virgo is really about like learning to take the practical steps to make things happen, and not just assuming that it's all going to work out, because you already inherently have that trust. And so now it's just time to work on like the actual practical application, which it sounds like you're doing. And also the nodes kind of don't come into play so much until you're older, like when you have your nodal return. So it's okay to be like experimenting around in this part of your chart, and then kind of see how it plays out. But it'll be interesting to see if maybe family and home and foundation, and like re-exploring that, and see if it'll become more important to you as you get older. So
that's why I'm so detached when it comes to family. I'm
interesting.
so detached.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, because the north node is like the unfamiliar, right?
Mm,
But then you do have the moon and Mars in the fourth house here. That being said, again, they're in the sign that rules the fifth house, and they're not in the Leo part. So there is something about being detached, but again, like moon and Mars in Virgo in the fourth house to me is like, yeah, I build my own foundation. That's how this
mm,
works. So you do actually have a certain level of comfortability there, probably just because your moon's there. Mars might be a little bit complicating, but yeah, that'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Is that bringing up any questions or thoughts, or do you have any thoughts on like what you'd like me to talk about from here?
Um, I remember reading a little bit about Jupiter in the 11th and how like because the 11th house is after the 10th house, it's the people that like it's your audience or your clients, because it follows, you know what I mean? So just knowing that Jupiter is in Pisces in my 11th house, like would that mean that I naturally have luck when it comes to community? They naturally believe in me, or like
Right. So the way that I interpret Jupiter is that it magnifies whatever it touches. So even like it can have to do with fortune if there's already fortune happening, like it'll generate more of that, but it'll also just magnify anything, so anything negative too, right? So it's not inherently like this is going to be lucky, but there's the opportunity for that. Like it's a tool that you can use that for. The 11th house I associate with kind of collective hopes and dreams. It's kind of a very intellectual house, and also with social media a little bit. It's ruled by Aquarius, so thinking about things from it's almost more like thinking about community rather than actual community. I feel like the fifth and sixth house are more the involved houses, but I do think that with Jupiter in the 11th house in Pisces, there is huge potential for you to use like social media and be seen from that bigger perspective, and for that to really be amplified, especially if you're coming at it from a spiritual perspective, for sure. Yeah, I think the 11th house, that's the first place I look to when I talk about social media. So spirituality, and then also with Aries in there a little bit too, like really focusing on you being kind of the star of the show, and doing your own thing, going in your own direction. That could be something that would be really helpful there. Does that make sense?
it does make sense. That's funny because the idea of fame, not it doesn't scare me, but it's kind of intimidating, because although I feel big, like I feel like I'm meant to be big, but it's like it's almost like I shy away from it. It's like I'll post and then I'll disappear, then I'll post again and I'll disappear, and when I come back I'm like, damn, I had a lot of views, there's a lot of people, like please. I even feel like that when I perform on stage, like it's like so many people's energy, but they love my energy. Like they love it, I can tell. And it's like, how do you balance that?
Yeah.
Or what's your perspective on that, especially with the placements?
Yeah, well, with the South Node in Pisces in the 10th house there, I could see that being like you having this sense of, it's not about me being famous right now. Like that's not, especially if you're not aligned with, like if you were to take action that didn't fulfill kind of that legacy and feel aligned with you, it would be you kind of falling back into this pattern, right? That's not to say that you can't do it. Like often when people have South Node in the 10th house, to me, it's like, oh, well, career probably isn't going to be that big of a struggle for you. Like, and take advantage of that, But just remember that your soul's purpose and trajectory is down here. So if this is causing you to stay in your comfort zone and not focus on this, then that's, going to be something that is probably a little difficult to navigate. And you'll probably feel resistant. But yeah, I don't think that, I think that it's totally okay to leverage these strengths and this familiarity and just judge whether or not it is distracting you from what is actually going to fulfill you, right? So for you, building your own life, building your own foundation, being potentially independent, and also maybe having some privacy, because like the fourth house is a really private house. Like this is your private life. Making sure that you have that is going to be really important. And it's like part of the lesson that your soul's here to learn. So if you can have this and take advantage of that strength, and the ease with which that comes to you, that's totally fine. But yeah, make sure that it's lining up with kind of what you're meant to contribute. So it's not just about you being famous and having a career. It's also about this ninth house stuff of sharing wisdom and educating people and creating a vision. Yeah, sharing the things that you've learned and like spiritual wisdom and stuff like that. So making
Okay.
it not just about I'm an artist, making it about I'm an artist and I have like a purpose for what I'm doing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense, because it's funny, the people that I would work with. So like I've had plenty of opportunities. Like I would have been famous by now. When I tell you I've been in record label, this is not to brag, this is just to make a point, but I've been in record label meetings. I've been flown out to California to work. I've shaken hands with CEOs and like all of that stuff, chairmen of labels. And I remember getting into an argument with the guy that I was working with at the time. He was like, "Do you know how many people would wish to be in your place, and you're just like saying no to this, saying no to that?" And it's like, that makes sense that you say, I'm not here to just be famous. Like I'm used to that. My South Node is used to that. I've always felt that, but in the back of my head, I'm like, am I being too complicated? Am I sabotaging? Like, he is right. Why am I being so hard-headed? Why am I not saying yes just to jump at the opportunity? I mean, this is money, but I'm still saying no. It makes me feel like I'm being complicated, but it's like, it makes sense that you say it's bigger than that.
Yeah, it's your life. Doesn't matter if other people would want it. They'll get it when they need to get it, right? Like you get to decide. You get to decide what you say yes to and what's aligned with you. And it sounds like you've really been listening to that intuition, because I think a lot of people would stay stuck in that South Node. They would go get famous and then they'd get to the middle of their life and be like, oh my gosh, like I'm totally not aligned with what I want to be doing, right? So you're building it from the ground up in a more sustainable way, in a way that like feels better for you. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. You do rulerships, right?
Like of what?
Like, so I see that the ruler of my midheaven that's Saturn in the 12th.
Yeah.
It's really far, I can't see. Okay.
Yeah.
So like the ruler of, I know that'll add like a color to it, the ruler of my midheaven being in the 12th. Like,
yeah, I
that's
mean,
even more Pisces.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. It's just literally another like confirmation of spirituality needs to be a part of this for you, and being spiritually aligned for you is really, really important. Saturn is like, well, it's kind of cool. Saturn is a little bit maybe hidden for you because it's in that 12th house, but you becoming a master of your own spiritual practice will be very beneficial for you with this placement. And in Taurus, bringing that into a really physical practice, I think, like maybe something with smell and touch and sound, like, just things that help you become grounded and help you make you feel connected to your higher self, to whatever it is that is meaningful for you.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I'm learning spirituality from different people's perspectives and creating my own philosophies to help others.
Yeah, well, I actually would say that you have spirituality inherently within you, just because, especially because of that South Node in Pisces. So like you've got that. Like it's not even so much that you need to learn it from other people. Like you totally can. That's very valuable. But to me, it's kind of like you've done that before. You know how to get big. You know how to get famous. You know how to have influence. What you're here to do now is to take that skill and direct it in a way that you're in control of it. Because it's very likely, if past lives are a thing, in that scenario, you probably were in a life where you were famous and you were controlled by your managers, or like you had no say over what was happening, right? And so you came into this life and you were like, okay, I know I can do that. I know how to do that. I'm familiar with it. I'm not going to be controlled this time because I have something that I want to do. I want to accomplish something. I want to teach people. I want to become an inspiration for people. And I have a feeling that that's what this Virgo North Node is really about. It's like, I'm taking back the control. I'm building the foundation so that I'm not able to be manipulated. And it really sounds like you're doing that, which is really, really cool.
Wow. That's a lot of confirmation. No, seriously, when you have so many people around you that just don't see the world from your point of view, it feels very, what's the word, like I feel like I'm being gaslit.
Yeah.
Like, I really feel like I'm being gaslit from everyone around me. Well,
Yeah.
in the past, because I got rid of them. But it's like, am I delusional? But I'm not. I know what I'm talking about. Like I know I'm not being difficult. I know I see it. Like I see how things can go. And that's what I'll always say. Like, and every time I say that something's gonna happen, I sit back and it happens. And it's like I'm tired of saying I'm right. Like,
Yeah.
y'all just gonna have to watch.
Yeah. Well, and like, who cares if you're delusional? If you go and try it and it doesn't work, you'll find out if it was delusional, and then you'll probably be smarter for the next time. And but like that probably is not going to happen. You're probably going to trust your intuition, and then it's going to turn out right because you've got such a strong foundation in these very intuitive signs. Like even this Cancer, I see, and Cancer, a lot of fortune too. Yeah. Okay. We have about 15 minutes left. So what? Yeah. What would be the most helpful to chat about at this point?
Okay. I'm hearing the word branding. So from your perspective as an artist, a songwriter, uh, I love spirituality. I love astrology. I love inspiring others. I love performing. What would you say? Like, how would you brand yourself as that? Like, just share your perspective. Like, if you were me.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that especially in your case with all of these intuitive placements, it's going to be a lot of like based on vibes, especially with Neptune there. So, really letting yourself follow kind of the vibe that you're feeling. Um, if you're specifically looking for colors, like think the way that I figured out my colors was I took the signs and the placements that I felt like were really important in my business, and I kind of reflected on, okay, what are the words that I associate with these? And then I let those kind of run around in my mind and see what colors came up. And kind of like, if I was to make a music video that was all about this energy, what would be the colors that would show up in that music video? What would be like the textures and the different things that I'm using to represent that? And I came up with like a really interesting combination that was very like unique and I wouldn't have thought of otherwise, right? So think about, okay, what does Capricorn represent to me? What does Neptune represent to me? What are any other placements that feel really important for this? And what are all the words that I associate with that, and how do those words like look and feel if they were to be embodied, right? And whatever you come up with is going to be the right expression of that sign and planet for you, right? Because we don't need you to brand in the stereotypical Pinterest version of Neptune and Capricorn, right? Like you could take inspiration from those, but it needs to be your own version of it, essentially. So
Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense because Neptune is all like, what is it, boundless. So I guess it makes sense you say to just follow the vibe. That's kind of what I was doing. I just wanted to hear, like,
yeah,
if it was any like you should follow this, you should wear these colors, But I don't
yeah.
feel that way.
I
I've definitely.
never, yeah, I never give advice like that. Because my whole purpose with these readings is to empower people to be able to access their own intuition, right? And I think that when you say, oh, it's these colors and these things, that's what becomes limiting about astrology, which
Yeah.
is one of the dangers of it. So, I mean, if I was to pull colors out of the air, it'd be like, well, purple and like silver, metallic, I don't know. It seems like the idea of film and photography really kind of stuck out to you. So that would be an interesting thing, like making things very old fashioned film themed or something like that and using those kind of things. That's
Mhm.
a cool direction to go in. And honestly, like it doesn't even really matter. Like once you get to the point where you're aligned with the energy and you're having the effect on the world that you're meant to be having, you can do whatever you want, and like it'll probably just flow with what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you can experiment, right? But just ask yourself, okay, is this allowing me to paint a vision for people, create a world and an experience for people, and show them that I am actually doing it and that I'm actually capable of doing it, right? If the answer to that is yes, then do it.
Okay. I feel very confident. Like,
Nice.
Yeah. Like,
That's wonderful.
I just, yeah, like, yeah. Because I'm always in my head, I'm always like, oh, this would look nice. This would look good. This would be cool.
Yeah.
And now now that I have my videographer and photographers, I could just bring it to life. So it feels good knowing that, okay, like, I'm in the right direction, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like what I want to do with these is often what's holding people back is just uncertainty or like lack of
Yeah.
confidence or something, and being able to help people go forward and like do the thing that they want to do. If everyone was doing
It's
this what they
funny
want
though.
to do.
It's funny though, because it's not a lack of confidence, because it's an inner knowing. But I'm a human being, and spirituality is like, so sometimes the ego does need to hear it sometimes, like you're doing good, like you're doing
Yeah.
what you need to do. It's like, okay, I can know all I want, but the back of my mind is still gonna be like, this, you know, like it's just gonna
Yeah.
question you. It's just gonna question you.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, you know, you have that really strong like grounding in spirituality. Like that's your foundation. And with that North Node in Virgo, a big part of that like life lesson for you is bringing that spirituality and actually pinning it down here and actually doing something about it. Because the tendency with a Pisces South Node is to be like, oh, the universe will like deal with it.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was full Pisces.
Yeah.
Full Pisces. I used to smoke weed, drink alcohol, party. I took shrooms once. I was on another cloud. Another cloud.
Yeah.
But but now it's like, yeah, I don't want to take anything. I don't want to drink anything. No. I'm repulsed by it all. The most I'll take is a glass of wine, because I really do want to stay grounded. Like I really do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, well, I'm really glad that you're feeling confidence and yeah, have some things to move forward with.
Absolutely. So I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So having Neptune conjunct, you said you have Neptune as an ascendant, right?
Yeah, near my ascendant, yeah.
And it's conjunct your midheaven as well?
It's sextiling my midheaven, I believe.
So do you feel like, you may get what I mean, like, do you feel disoriented sometimes? Like you're like just confused, like you need to bring yourself back?
Well, especially on the ascendant, it is kind of when I'm around other people, I can lose myself very easily, especially because the ascendant is more that like one-on-one interaction. And I do find that it's almost easier for me to see other people clearly than it is for me to see myself clearly. And I've been in relationships with several people who have Neptune on the descendant. And it's really interesting because they see themselves very clearly, but they do not see other people clearly. And it's so fascinating. And it's like, wow. So yeah, it's I find that it means that I can be very dazzling to them. I can be very dazzling to people. I can kind of have an ethereal like effect on them in that one-on-one. And then but it can be very disorienting because it's like, oh yeah, I am like that, or like, wait, what? I'm like that? Like what even am I? What do I want? There's just so much potential to lose yourself in that. So yeah, and in your case, that would be like there's potential to maybe lose yourself a little bit in how you see yourself in that public and professional context, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do not see myself publicly how other people see me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, like I just feel like I'm just living life and sharing my passions, but the way people speak about me, it's like, oh my gosh, she's just, and I'm like, I don't know, it feels very disorienting.
So Marilyn Monroe had Neptune on the ascendant. So it's those kinds of effects, right? That people, well, because they can project onto it easily, right? And that's kind of the danger of it. But if you learn how to use it, it's a very useful tool. And I think it's okay that you don't see yourself the way that they're seeing you. It's obviously working. So don't worry about it. And like when you have Neptune in a place like that, it is important for you to regroup and go and be by yourself and like isolate for a little bit, just so that you don't totally lose yourself. I find I need a lot of alone time to really feel grounded and back in touch with myself. And then I can go out and I can do the magic again, right? Like I can go out into the world and I can make TikTok videos and do readings and understand people really clearly. And I can like take all that energy and process it. And as long as I'm actually giving myself enough alone time, that's not going to derail me completely.
But doesn't that go against like you have to be consistent, you know, the new social media rules when it comes to content? I cannot stick by it no matter how much I plan.
No. It goes against the rules, but who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I'll ever be consistent. I'm sorry. No. Even when I'm like, yeah, I'm going to post this many times a week, it goes out the window.
I'm not consistent. That being said, the more that I allow myself to go with like my own energy flow, the more I just end up being consistent because I have the energy and I'm excited to do it.
Oh my gosh. I think, yes, that is very Neptune Pisces. I noticed that lately, every time like I try to like fix something in the real world, it doesn't work. But when I just let it go and just trust that it's going to work out, I end up doing more than I intended.
Yeah.
I'm like, what in the world? So that's confirmation as well. Okay. Yeah. So I'm not going to focus on being consistent.
No,
I'm just going to follow my inspiration, follow the gut.
Yeah.